can you see this person's perspective, but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. We're not going to be in a victim mindset. It's so funny. I started the show off and I had to play the theme a couple of times because it wasn't connecting across all the portals. We're on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook, on the Book of Face.
On the Book of Face. Oh, the Holy Grail. Social media.
We are here. I'm Devon.
I'm Teri. How are you today?
I'm good. And I've had conversations all week that deal with the N word, the one that comes up this time of year. People have to deal with families and things like that. The N word I'm talking about is narcissism, not just a buzzword. Sometimes when we use a word really often, it becomes the thing. It's the catch-all phrase for anything that's wrong in the world. And narcissism's a big word right now. The narcissist is a big word. But I also think we have a world that is just now learning what that is.
Yes. We have a world that's just learning what that is. And we have a world that is trigger happy. And so everyone can be a narcissist. Like, there are true people who are narcissists, and then there are people who are wounded with narcissistic characteristics. And then there are people who just take a shit ton of selfies and post them on social media. They're all narcissists. Like, it's not, but there are definitely signs to look for when you are entering or exiting a relationship, or you find yourself knee deep in a relationship. Whether it's with an intimate partner, whether it is with a work authority figure or coworker, whether it is with a family member at the holidays or a family member that you don't spend the holidays with. Another part of that is that we are saturated with our social media. We're saturated with so many people that can actually appear to be narcissists from a narcissistic personality, but not necessarily the toxic trait characteristics. So like if you're watching somebody who's considered an influencer, someone might say, well, they're just a narcissist. Well, I mean, everybody is called a narcissist these days. So it's, we need to unpack that a little bit to see what the red flags are that are sustainable red flags.
And let's talk about the red flags within the people in the relationship, the us's of the world who are not the narcissists, but we seem to attract them, and why that is, and why somehow it's so hard to let them go. I want to talk first about the opening phase, the love bombing, when you're getting involved with somebody and it happens fast, it happens furiously, and all of a sudden, everything you mentioned they love to do, and all of a sudden, your perfect person has arrived in your life. We're just alike.
It's because they are standing in your light beam and they are reflecting back to you all that you are. And you look pretty damn good. So, of course, you are smitten with this person. And also, let's be real, relationships, we talk love a lot. Relationships are dopamine. They're chemistry in the brain. So, you have to be careful if you are starting out and someone, I like chicken pot pie. I like chicken pot pie. I like canoeing. I like canoeing. I like whatever, running 23-mile marathons. I love running marathons. Could there be similarities that this person does really enjoy those things? Yes. But ask questions. When was the last marathon you ran? Where do you like to kayak or canoe at?
Do you have a kayak?
Yeah.
Girl, I went on one of those dating sites, one of those horse lovers websites. I said, go where people do what you like to do.
Right.
And I met 3 guys on there and started having conversations. None of them had horses. None of them ever been on a horse. They just wanted to ride. They wanted to find out about riding, and then find out the girls that like to ride, and they just liked cowgirls. That has nothing to do with anything of anything. I almost slipped and said something else, but anyway, um, they were not in there for the right reasons. They just weren't. Okay, let's take a look here. Elizabeth is with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Elizabeth. Hey, Corinne.
And there's my Janie. There's my Janie from upstate New York, and Candy from across the pond.
Candy.
There's Michelle. Say, ooh, this world likes its buzzwords. And it does. This world does like its buzzwords. There's Angie. How are you? And there is Candy from Humphreys County. See, we got both our Candies in here today. Ooh, all the gang has shown up. Yay.
That kind of felt like a romper room episode for me there just a minute ago. Like I needed a little mirror that went like, hi, Candy. Hi, Candy. Hi, Corinne. Hi, Elizabeth. Yeah.
I see. I just like that you knew romper room. I do too. That was my favorite part of romper room, and my favorite part of Santa and his magic spyglass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He never said my name.
Traumatizing with that damn magic spyglass. Against you, like he's watching you, and it's like, well, he's a creep, so stop. So anyway.
Mary can make him stop. Corinne is saying hi to back. So
hi there.
Well, we're talking about the dangerous, toxic narcissist, the narcissist that there's someone who decided to work on pipes right outside.
Oh, right. I don't hear them. So
okay, good. Because I'll just pretend I'm in a powwow. Dum, dum, dum. Okay. See, that's what we'll do. There's some dangerous red flags to look out for. One of the first things a dangerous narcissist will do will be to interview you.
Mm-hmm.
They interview you to find out what their replies are supposed to be. And it's amazing how I've also noticed another thing is they start sometimes even emulating or looking like you or developing your likes, your life. They appropriate things from your life to connect with you. But also, now this is, answer me this, riddle me this, Batman. I've heard many of the experts talk about them. They appropriate looks, attitudes, hobbies, things that are yours because they don't have things on their own.
Some do. Others are convinced or enjoy converting you over to theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Because the converting you to theirs starts a stronger isolation. Because if you're not doing things with your friends that you typically do with your friends, but now you're doing things with their friends or with them, then you're being isolated a tinge more. Now, and people that have abandonment issues also can appear to be narcissistic when and they may be on some level, but that's probably a trauma narcissism response rather than like a self-preservation, rather than I'll get you my little pretty kind of thing,
One of the things that I have noticed when I spot, it's so weird because now I can spot it when a friend is jumping into a narcissist situation. I see the red flags now because I've done so much study on this subject. How do you warn them? How do you tell them? Because this is not something, people don't like to hear this.
Well, no. And a lot of times people who want to be loved, love coupling up with people who want to love. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning of a relationship, people who are unwell, whether it's by attachment style, whether it's by borderline personality, whether it's by bipolar, whether it's by trauma response, whether it's by narcissism, they don't necessarily know that you don't know when you're getting into this what you're getting. So, and chemistry is a big thing. We meet people, we fall in like with them. The next thing you know, there's engagements and people are getting married and you've known each other a month, or if you're lucky, 6 months, And it can, not that rushing that fast is a bad thing. I mean, many of our grandparents did that, right? But we lived in a different time then. Now in this time, there is this this floating device that's out there that has us feeling like if you're not good enough, you have to be good enough on every front. Because if you're not, they'll find somebody else. Well, I got news for you, sister. Right. Even if you are good enough on every front, they'll still find somebody else.
Mm-hmm. And there's a great song, if you guys know the artist, Lauren Massetti. If you can leave me, then you don't love me. And it's a powerful song. I really love that song because if they can leave you, they do not love you. If they can find somebody else that quickly, if they, or if they left someone to find you so quickly, be wary of that. Pay attention to that.
And be wary of when you are entering a relationship with someone, if all they do is talk shit about their former partner, that is something to really pay attention to. I don't care if their former partner was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, October humor there, or if they were the kindest person in the world and the person that is talking trash is terribly wounded or a narcissist. If you love someone, you don't devolve their reputation. And a lot of unwell people will do that. And they do that in an attempt to become this is kind of a gross word, but pitied. They become a victim. It becomes not their fault. And if you link up with someone and you are of that, oh, I'm an empath. I feel everybody's pain. And they start throwing those gaslit shards at you, they will burn you alive.
Yeah. If you bring in and you entertain the victim within them, you love that victim, the more they will portray that victim. And if they start portraying the victim right up front, it's like red sky at morning, sailor's warning. Be careful, because that is a telltale sign they set themselves up as victims. Oh, by the way, we've not heard from James in a long time. James Napier is with us.
Hey, James.
And James just lost a sweet fur baby of his. And so our love goes out to him. Elizabeth, that's exactly what I did. Engaged and married quickly as I thought I was getting too old. I was 26. If we'd taken it slow, never would have gone through with it.
Yeah. And sometimes we can take it slow and we still go through with it, because there's a part of when people couple together. I said to somebody the other day, when you couple with someone and you love them, regardless of the turbulence that presents itself through the relationship, you always find the north. You always find the center. That's the cycle, right? Somehow, no matter how funky it gets, you find your center of the road again. But what you lose sight of over a period of time is that it's not the actual center of the road. You've migrated over to the center of their road. And now you're just there. And you're trying to navigate the best you can, the healthiest you can. And sometimes if you're in that dynamic, with someone who, isn't necessarily concerned with healthy, you're at that point, I don't want to say a pawn, but you're at that point, you're along for the ride. You forget who you are, then you forget you've forgotten.
Oh, you forget you've forgotten. I think that's, y'all, I expect my friends to speak up and tell me what they think. That's Candy, Humphreys County Candy. And, that's a healthy view right there. I expect my friends to speak up and tell me what they think. That's a healthy view,
It is. And some people come from more of a, depending on family of modeling, family of origin, depending on what attachment styles they have, they want their friends to tell them what they think. But if it's not really what they want to hear, then that's problem, because their love, their like, their infatuation, their desire to be loved, they've met someone who says all the right things. They don't want to lose that. And that means that actually both of those people entering that relationship are a little unwell. They're a little toxic. You know, one might be a bit more toxic, but they're toxic. And those are things to look at.
Here's something else to look at. When someone, first of all, relationship goes fast, something goes wrong. You have a bad day. They hang up on you. And then they ghost you. Just ghost you. You call and you call and you email and you email and you show up at their house unannounced. That's on you. It's not on them. And let's open that can of worms on the person who has been wronged by this narcissist, because the silent treatment is very typical of a narcissist when they don't get their way, whether it's in your home, the silent treatment. Let's discuss that and how we have to approach them.
People who are covert conflict or conflict avoidant will avoid, if you've made them mad, they're going to avoid you. They're going to withdraw and they're going to give you the silent treatment. And that is a way of emotionally punishing someone. Now, if you yourself struggle with abandonment issues or attachment styles or self-worth or confidence and all of that stuff, and you start spiraling out because you're not hearing from someone who doesn't respect you enough to call you back, well, that's something you got to look at. Because in adult relationships, let's just be real. As adults, you know, I'm going to go to the littles. As adults, we should be able to function like adults. If someone calls you or someone says, hey, I'm having a bad day, I need just a minute, be responsible enough to say, you know what, take all the time you need, just call me back when you're ready. That's healthy. Unhealthy is, fine, I'll let you go. And then you just don't call them back, because at that point you've triggered that other person, and now they're triggered and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this cotton candy. I've waited all my life for this particular cotton candy, and I don't want to share it with anybody else, but I don't want to lose it. So let me call them back. And then the other person on the other end is like, I'll have you wiggle a while. I'll have you wiggle a while until you learn your lesson. And if you get in a car or you keep texting and you keep calling and you keep doing this, you're teaching that other person how to treat you. You're teaching them, if I avoid you, you will beg me. You will crawl to me and you will beg me. And I'm going to tell you this, Devon, if you're in the first few weeks of a relationship or a few months of a relationship and this pattern has already presented itself, girl, pack your bags in your hobo bag and get the hell out of town, because that is a shit show waiting to unfold right there.
It is.
If you've told them all of this about you, if you walk away from me, I will crumble. They will continue this pattern, and they will continue this pattern, and they will continue this pattern. And when you find yourself a year, 2 years, 5 years in this relationship, you will have already lost yourself in the first few months of it. And to be able to stand on your own feet and say, hey, no, I deserve respect. I deserve communication. I deserve that. Like in a healthy relationship. We're not 10 years old in an adult relationship, although mostly some people are 13 to 15. Most people are 13 to 15.
And here's another thing. If someone is ghosting you after one phone call and it's still kind of new in the glowing part of the relationship, if they ghost you, bye. Yeah. It's like, and don't seek any more. That says everything. That says everything.
And here's the other thing. Someone ghosting you, and I know this feels so personal, but someone ghosting you has nothing to do with you. I don't care if you've called them 50 times that day and they ghost you. Should you be calling them 50 times? No, you need to look at that. But if they're ghosting you, that has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them not being equipped enough to have an actual adult conversation to say, hey, here are my boundaries and my limits. I don't appreciate it when you call me this much. And if you continue to call me this much, I'm going to have to stop talking to you. That's adult. That's responsible. That's respect. It might not be the warm and fuzzy respect that everybody wants, but it's them saying, hey, I'm teaching you how to treat me.
And
Don't
it's not
show
a
up in
Hallmark
my house
movie.
unannounced.
That's right. A Hallmark movie, sometimes that happens and everything gets all rosy and the people get skinny at the end, but that's not the way it happens. That's not the way it happens. Angie says, I lost a friend because I spoke up and told them what I thought. Now I'm more reluctant to say anything. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But sometimes you have to tell the truth in love. And then if you lose them over telling them the truth, chances are they knew the truth to begin with. And they just didn't like that somebody else saw it too.
Yeah.
And they might even circle around and be back.
I started to say, if you're fortunate, they may circle around and come back. And if there's shame or they're angry because they didn't see it and it broke their heart, they may never circle back.
Janie, she's going through that with her brother. She's going through that. So it's not just, romance relationships we're talking about all of them. And the holidays are coming. We're trying to get ready. And sometimes you don't get that neat little bow at the end. You just don't. Right. Candy says, I've already seen that shit show and left it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. We have to be well within ourselves. We have to know, first and foremost, what our deal breakers are. And I would challenge everyone who's listening or listens on the replay to take just a little bit of space and time during the day, just to ask yourself, assess the situations that you're in with friends, family, new people who might be future partners, and ask yourself, does this feel good? Because your intuition is going to be the first one to go, no, this does not feel good. What is missing in this? What's missing in this? You're going to probably feel yourself say, they're just so cute and they're so funny and they're so this and they're so that. And yeah, maybe they are. But just because you are starting a relationship off, or say you've had an estranged relationship with a friend or a family member, just because the first couple of things out of their mouth when this reconciliatory process, is that even a word? I mean, good Lord. When the, reconciliation process comes in and you start to reconcile with the person, if the first few things out of their mouth are just sweet and syrupy, step back. Not because they are toxic, but step back, because you don't have to take the first thing somebody says and run with it. Give yourself that space and grace to know what it is you want and how you choose to be treated. And that works both ways, because if somebody ghosts you, they will turn around and look at you and go, well, I'm ghosting you because I deserve better. Well, all right, go find better then. That's easy. See ya.
Because here's the deal. You deserve better. And until you learn that you have value and what your value is, we keep training those people to treat us however they want to treat us, to fill their emotional emptiness.
Well, even the unwell people deserve someone that fits them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a conflict-driven person, you need a conflict-driven person. You need a conflict-driven person. You're not going to partner up with a conflict-driven person because you want someone to take care of you, and you want to avoid them until you want something, and then you want them again, and then you want to avoid them, and that's the pattern.
And then there's the thing that you said last week is, and this came up in a conversation, is this, well, I see them, and I go, no, you see them as you want them to be. You see them as you want them to be. You're already seeing the truth, but you're not admitting it because this doesn't feel good.
Well, and sometimes you when you want any type of relationship with anyone, coworker, intimate, whatever it is, an estranged family member, there's nothing wrong with wanting and hoping and wishing that that relationship can be healed, and that you can truly have mutual respect, and you can establish your own individual self-care and self-kindness, and you can employ boundaries which allow you to grow and also state what you need, even if it's not what someone else wants, but oftentimes we don't get that because a lot of people are so starved for love, for connectivity, for attention. And I don't say this from a victim place for people, but it is that thing where it's like, I just want to be picked. I just want to be picked.
Ooh, that's a huge emotion right there.
Yeah.
And they're not, and I had a book that I was working on a book a few years ago called The Last Man Before Expressway. And it's the dumb things that we do when we get desperate. Mm-hmm. And I was seeing The Last Man Before Expressway back when I was 27 years old. And thank the Lord, I did not end up with this person, because it would have been horrific. It was not great as it was, but I got away pretty quickly. Elizabeth says this isn't also just about romantic relationships. Same can happen in friendships. I'll always help a friend, but I've learned I can't do it for them. I'm good with saying goodbye to those who are unhealthy for my life. That's good. Mm-hmm. In familial relationships, Janie says her brother did me wrong, stole from me, and now ghosts me because I called him out. Inheritance theft. So I'm cut off, ghosted, as if I did something to him. Remember that phrase, as if I did something to him. He's acting victim. Hope he enjoys his tractor. He won't return. Now I have to deal with the law. This so sucks. I hear this inheritance theft consistently over and over and over again. And that is a very strange thing. And even if there's a will, if there's somebody in your life, in your family that decides they're just going to not take that and just run roughshod over it, I deserve it. It will be mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a hard one. And that, that there's so many legalities in that it is not fun or easy to navigate. And it's certainly, in a world where I'm skeptical to use the word fair, it's not fair for people to do that. Mm-mm. But some people are, emotionally void unless it serves them. If it serves them, they're all about it.
That's right.
Gimme. But
Jesus, sorry, I shared my mess. Very stressed. Well, Janie, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you came, and we're going to work on that stress. Elizabeth said sharing is always okay here, Janie. I love.
Absolutely.
And this is a place where every week we come with all of our mess and we just throw it out there. And one of the ways around this mess is to realize that, one, you are worth being treated well. You're worth that. We're worth being treasured. My father, God rest his soul, said, don't settle until someone treasures you, baby, until someone treasures you. Now, that's a beautiful word, because it's not just love, because love has taken on a thing, but treasured is so different, and I just really, really, I hope that you guys will take that to heart. I love you too, Janie. I love you too. Joyce just joined us. I hate I'm late again, but I'll listen to it all later. Joyce, we're just glad that you showed up.
Absolutely.
We're all worthy. We are all deserving, says Elizabeth. And Candy says he gave you a great piece of advice. Well, he did. But here's the deal. Don't settle for someone who doesn't treasure you. Another thing, don't settle for someone who doesn't pursue you. And I don't mean like a stalker. I mean someone who says, you're worth my phone call to you.
Right.
If you find that you're the one that's anticipating a lot of everything, they're going along with it. They're going, yeah, sure, I'll go out. Yeah, I'll do that. make sure that there's a balance. Those are little things that you come in your life, and I'm not going to say don't trust things that happen very fast, but don't trust things that happen so fast.
And I'm going to add this because, I'm always I'm always doing both sides of the coin here. With don't trust or don't fall for someone, don't get in a relationship with someone who can't treasure you. Also be sure that if there's work to be done, you've done your work, so that when someone does show up in your life that is equipped to treasure you, you don't sabotage that and push them away, because we can do that.
Oh, yes.
There's always two sides to every conversation that we throw out there. There's always two sides to that. So one of those is that, allow yourself to be treasured. Don't say, I want to be treasured. And then when somebody shows up, because God will put that person on your path. And when they show up, know that you're ready to receive them, because if you're not, they'll show up to treasure you, and you'll see it as they want too much from me. And I'm not talking about treasure you like, I'm going to stick to you like glue and agree with everything you say. And I'm never going to counter anything you say. I tell people all the time, if you got somebody like that in your life, and I know, we hear people all the time say, well, that's my ride or die. They believe they're with me no matter what. And I'm like, well, if you have somebody that's with you no matter what, even when you're wrong and they don't tell you that, you don't have a ride or die. You have an enabler. Like, you don't have a ride or die. I personally would not want anybody in my pocket that is going to agree with me all the time, especially when I am not showing up in my best self and they don't have the respect for me to say, hey, let's just look at this for a second.
I don't have anybody in my life that agrees in everything I do. I just don't have anybody. I never have. Hey, Jenny says, lowering expectations of these people. And Elizabeth says, God or the universe does put the absolute right people into our lives. Yeah, just remember there's another force that'll put the other people in your lives too. So you got to make sure that your little divining rod of faith, hope, and love is out there, and you can tell the difference. And do not continue to make a mistake just because it took you a long time to make it.
And also be accountable. Like, be accountable. Like, I had somebody tell me one day, well, I'm just there, and this is not a client, just a friend of mine, met somebody, we're just dating, and all he wants to do is go to the clubs, go to the bars. I'm just tired. Where'd you meet him? In a bar. Okay. What do y'all have in common? Well, going to bars. I'm like, okay, well, it's got to go further. We as human beings, there's a sector of human beings that is terrified to let anybody in. They want to let people in, but they're terrified. So they do the emotional fly fishing. Come. Oh my God, you're too close. And they push you away. And then come. And then they push you away. You start doing that dance with them. And I've been in a relationship like that myself. You do that dance with them, you'll lose yourself. You will lose yourself, and your brain will pop open going 180 miles an hour at 3:00 in the morning, trying to figure out what the hell you did wrong. You have to be accountable. You have to be. So whether it's our own, you're going to meet somebody at Publix, at Aldi's, at a dating app. You're going to meet somebody at a concert. You're going to get together with a bunch of friends and you've met somebody. Know that you've done the work to know yourself, so that when you meet somebody, they share who they are too. They're not just trying to mirror back to you all of the good things in you. Because when people start mirroring back all of the good things in you, it's real easy to go, God, they're so sweet. It's not that they're going, hey, this is what I think about you. This is what I think about you. They're just, if you're a kind person and they're mirroring back kindness, if you're you do philanthropy and they suddenly tell you all, watch, listen, there's a great saying out there that says, watch how someone treats a server at a restaurant.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Watch what someone says about their former partner. Watch what people say about family members they don't particularly jive with. Listen, it's natural to go, ooh, they on my last nerve every once in a while, or wow, that wasn't very good service. Whole different ball game than it's that person's an idiot and they're stupid and they cause all my problems and because when you look up with somebody like that, I don't care if it's 1 week into the relationship or 9 years into the relationship, when you link up with somebody like that, you better be sitting back and taking accountability for what your role in that is, because we've agreed to it to some degree.
And pay attention to their friends. Take a look at their friends. Do they
if you're allowed to meet them?
Yes,
that's if you're not allowed to meet.
That's my next thing.
Yeah, if you're not allowed to meet their friends, hang out with their friends. I'm not saying take ownership of their friends, but if you're not allowed to meet their friends, hang out from time to time and exchange, cordial words when you see them, and they
run into their friends if they're not around.
Yeah, if they isolate you from those friends, I can guarantee you that when the show hits the road, you will be the one that they will be talking about.
Yep.
You will be the problem. You just have to learn that you being that for them doesn't matter.
Elizabeth says, if I agree with someone all the time, it's because I've decided it's no longer worth my time to explain why I disagree. I love that. I'll call my spirit tribe crew if need be. They'll do the same for me. And she says, Lordy, I drag my friends out to meet everyone. Yeah. And here's another point. Candy says, or if they have them, if you've got an isolated person who says, I really don't have anybody but you. Ooh, you better watch that. Just watch that. Jennifer says, yep.
Or I don't have any friends because I don't trust people. Well, if they're looking at you and you're a people, then odds are they're probably not going to trust you at some point, and you're going to be you're going to be the brunt of the problem.
Jenny says, "Run." That's true. Those people, and you go, you're the only person that's ever understood me. You're the only person. It's you and me against the world. Ooh, those are really, really scare things. Kenny says, "Oh, that's a good one, Teri."
And the other, another part of that is, absolutely being in that space where, first and foremost, we're accountable for ourselves. Our heart is going to run in one direction like a horse has been smacked on the tail. It's going to take off, right? And the head, our brain, is going to try to grovel with all of the stuff that we're trying to make sense of. But when dopamine is infused in the system, the heart is probably 9 out of 10 times, 9.5 out of 10 times going to win. But at some point, your heart rate slows down a little bit. And when it slows down, don't start trying to force what was happening to happen. If they lose interest in you, don't chase them. If they are ghosting you, let them float away. You don't need anyone in your life who cannot respect you enough to act like an adult, whether you are just in a relationship, whether you are knee deep in a relationship, or whether you are leaving a relationship. How someone shows up speaks volumes about their character.
And I know this is a hot topic, but the word closure comes to mind. The people who say, I demand closure, and you're going to tell me to my face. Okay,
well,
why?
I mean, exactly.
What you want them to tell you to your face?
Right. And here's the thing. Why do you have to look to them to closure? Empower yourself to create your own closure. If they're not calling you back, that's some closure right there. If they have lied to you, or they have ghosted you, or they are being childish because they didn't get their way in a certain situation or scenario, why do you need them? What makes you think that they're going to be adult enough to give you closure? They're not. You going back and begging for closure and trying to get closure is going to do nothing but let them know they still have their hooks in you. So if you need closure, do some self-reflection and figure out what that is that you need. because you should never really need closure from somebody else. Somebody that has mistreated you does not deserve the right to give you closure, because their closure don't mean shit. You need to decide what your closure is, and then you figure that out and you do it that way. I know you don't see my soapbox here, but it's here right underneath my feet right now.
That's like a mic drop moment. I'm going, ooh, I got chill bumps and I got hot all at the same time. Go, yes, 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 preach. I love this from Jennifer. My husband is the sweetest man most of the time, and he doesn't have very many friends, but he's just socially awkward.
And you know what, Jennifer?
That's okay.
You know what, Jennifer? There are people who don't have a lot of friends, but they have a good heart. You know, they have a good heart, and those people are not the people that those are not the people that we're talking about being, you know, unwell. Those are not the people. And that's the problem, is that everybody gets looped into this, and it's like, well, if they don't have friends, they're toxic. Not necessarily. Maybe they really are an introvert, and they're just like, you know, I'm good with you, and that's okay. You know.
Elizabeth has been there. I've straight up told a couple of folks in my life that I'm not willing to discuss any reason why I walked away. Just not worth the time and energy, not letting them suck me in again. I love that. And of course, several people, including Janie, saying my guy is that way too. So, you know, and best guys in the world, you know.
I mean, you know, you can have your relationship can be with someone that doesn't necessarily go out and socialize. They're just a quiet, gentle soul, and they enjoy spending time with you. And it's healthy. And here's the thing. You got you somebody like that in your life. They enjoy spending time with you. You enjoy spending time with them. And your stomach's not always in knots because you feel like you've done something wrong. You got yourself a good egg. But if your stomach is always in knots because you feel like you've done something wrong, that's something to look at.
And I love this. Jennifer says, most of my husband's friends are my friends whom I introduced him to. And Jen, I will tell you, your husband is fantastic. And so does, and Angie and EB, we're all saying, yes, we love him. We love him, you know, and that's the truth. And sometimes someone integrates into yours because you are better at gathering a tribe. But the fact that they do love that. And I'm talking about when they have this secret life. When there's a secret life they don't let on, you know.
Here's the thing. The partners that enjoy going out and supporting you and meeting your friends and, you know, that great. If you have an unhealthy person, they're not going to want to meet your friends. They're also not going to want you to go out with your friends.
The phrase, I don't.
That's that knot in the stomach kind of thing. If you're going home every day or waiting on somebody to call you every day, and you suddenly find that you're doing that Fred Flintstone thing across the floor, like you're walking on eggshells because suddenly your stomach hurts, that's probably not a healthy relationship. Well, I'll take that back. That is not a healthy relationship.
Joyce said, that's how I feel sometimes in knots, feeling like I'm doing something wrong. Awful feeling. Don't like that. It is awful. Well, you guys, we opened this can of worms. We've gone over, so I'm sorry that we've gone over, but I'm not sorry because this is important stuff. And just creating your space to know that you deserve good. You don't need somebody else to give you closure, that when it feels wrong, it is wrong. You can sense it in your gut. It will tell you. And if you ever have somebody who says, I don't need anybody else, why do you need someone else? That's not good. That's just, you know, so those are some things for you to look out for and some things to combat it.
Absolutely. And also just knowing that, you know, there are anything that you share, any information that any intel that you share with this person as you're getting to know them. If we're talking about an unhealthy person, I can tell you this, that information might not be used in the beginning. It might not be used in the middle, but an unwell person, their memory is like a lint trap. They're going to remember every vulnerability you have shared with them. And if you don't make sure that you are in a good space to be able to leave well, then they will either try to entrap you to keep you to stay, or they will smear you as you go because they're unwell.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us, to be clear, all of us can be triggered. We can all be unwell from time to time. I've said this before. I've said to clients, I've said to friends, I don't care how much work you have done, myself included, don't care how much work you have done. If you step into the crosshairs of someone who is intentionally trying to hurt you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, they can snatch you out of your healthy place in a New York second. So you got to know yourself.
Well, next Tuesday, I'm just saying, next Wednesday, I'm just hoping that you guys can open up the can of worms about those people who are narcissists, who accuse you of things that they are doing. But that's for next time. I would say there's the best way to know what a narcissist is doing. Listen to what they're accusing you of doing. And that's another can of worms, and we'll talk about that next time. But I'll quickly go through. Elizabeth says, I absolutely love our Wednesdays. We always have great discussions. I appreciate you two bringing us all together. Janie says, saved in the files. Good. Angie says 30 minutes is just not long enough. I just love it.
I agree with you, Angie. I agree with you.
Jennifer's going, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
And Candy is, look forward to next week's show.
Yes.
This is, y'all, there's so many things, and you guys are really keeping the conversation going. And you guys can keep this going after we leave, because we have comments, and those are always great. And even after the fact, if you watch this show on replay, let us know. And if you've got a topic for us in the future, we are going to keep that going. And Candy, thank you for bringing all this up, ladies. Love you all. And we love you. We love you. And Joyce sending out some love. So,
yes.
So Jamie and all the crowd who joins us each and every week, you can reach out to me, devanoday@gmail.com. Teri?
You can find me at terrypugh.com or on Instagram or Facebook or wherever your scrolling takes you. I'm there. So
I like your TikToks. I like your TikToks.
I thought about deleting the TikTok.
Oh, no. No. I like your TikToks.
Okay. All right.
I like them very much.
I will reconsider. Just for you,
I like
Devon.
when you were calling God to tell him.
Girl, I was like, God, I need to make sure I am not on your strength warrior or your strongest warrior list for 2024. I need a sabbatical is what I need, because my brain is already on the sabbatical. My brain is like, I'm out.
I know. I don't even know what day it is. I keep booking shows and saying it's tomorrow. And they go, and I thought you said Friday. I thought you said Monday. And I go, oh, I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was right the first time. I just anyway, right. Y'all have a good one. I'm gonna pull out my calendar so I can learn what day it is.
Yes. And please, in closing, know that as always, we appreciate you spending your time and your energy and choosing to engage with us. We could talk all day. In fact, we did the other day, half a day almost. But it is so refreshing and fun to have you guys here and engaging, because we all love you, each and every. And we're honored that you spend time with us. And so until we see you next week, be mindful that if you find yourself speed dialing or speed texting or showing up at somebody's doorstep unannounced, you probably need to look into that. And if somebody is doing that to you, you need to look into the reality that is not that they are smitten and just in major love with you, but there might be something not okay, unwell, and you need to be able to set your boundaries there. So there's that. And as always, until we see you next week, we want you to give yourself some self-kindness and some self-love, and everybody all together, increase the peace.
That's
right. That's right.